Hey everyone, it's Kim, the Homeschooling Grammy, and today I'm taking part in a collaboration that's being hosted by Ingrid over at the Ingrid Chronicles. And the name of this collaboration is 5 Ways to Homeschool Without Stress. That I'm going to do this video a little bit differently than I would normally do it. I wanted to do this so that I can come back at some point as a reminder to myself. And I wanted it to be based on biblical truth. And not just something that I thought or what I think, but what God's word tells me. So, the first way, I'm stumbling all over the place. I'm not starting over again. The first way to relieve stress in your homeschool is when you're feeling like you lack strength. You feel like you just don't have it in you. You don't have it in you today. Like, you know what? Dear God, I don't have it. I don't have what it takes today. 1 Chronicles 16:11 says, "Seek the Lord and His strength. Seek His presence continually." Because you know what? Nothing happens in our own strength. Nothing at all happens in our own strength. It only happens in the Lord's strength. 1 Chronicles 16:11, seek the Lord and His strength. So when you feel like you can't, it's because you really can't. And you need to be seeking out Jesus Christ. You need to be seeking out the Lord. Seek Him and His strength and seek Him continually. Like, we need to be seeking Him even when we're not feeling stressed, even when we're lacking in strength, even when we're not feeling weak, and we're not feeling any of those things, because then we will be reminded when we are feeling weak and we feel like we have no strength that, you know what, we don't need to, because He holds it all. Okay, so the next thing, when you're feeling afraid, and we all feel afraid sometimes, don't we? When we're homeschoolers, we all have that sense of fear. We fear, like, are we doing enough? We fear, is my child going to succeed in life? Are they going to be able to, do what it takes to make it in this world? All these kinds of fears that creep up into our heads as homeschoolers, that creep up into our heads just under any circumstance. Deuteronomy 31:8 says, "It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed." He tells us, do not fear nor be dismayed, because He goes before us. He goes before us every single moment of our lives. He goes before us. He knows what is going to happen. He is not surprised by anything that does happen. And all He wants us to do, as before, is to seek Him continuously. Seek Him continuously. He goes before us. And if God is for us, who can be against us? Okay, so on to way number 3. Way number 3. When you feel weak and defeated. When you feel weak and defeated. Don't we all feel weak and defeated sometimes? So defeated, we just feel like we can't do anything right. We're just complete failures. We can't do anything right. Like, we're not getting this homeschool thing right. We're not getting life right in general. And we just feel defeated. Now, I'm coming from my own personal, these are the things that run through my head. And so Psalm 73:26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." Once again, He's still our strength. He's still our portion. No matter how weak we may feel, because in our flesh we feel very weak. We feel very weak. And I can say, just coming from a person with a chronic illness, that there are days that it's all I can do to put one foot in front of the other. But that's okay, because you know what? God has me. God is with me. No matter what I may be going through physically, He is there with me always. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is my strength, is the strength of my heart and my portion forever, because this is not our home. This too shall pass, and someday it will all be a distant memory. On to way number 4, for when you are feeling alone. Because you know what, especially now, at least I'm feeling it more than ever. Sometimes you feel like you're in this alone with this whole pandemic thing, and this feeling of isolation, and that, you know, the lack of community, because no one wants to be around anybody else, and you just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm all alone in this. Like, and that's Satan lying to you, telling you that you're alone. You're not alone. Psalm 73:23 says, nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold my right hand. He has us by our hand. He's always with us. He never lets us go. And we need to not be believing the lies of the enemy as he whispers into our, you know, our hearts and our minds, trying to convince us that we are alone in our homeschooling journey, that we are alone in our journey in general. But we are not alone. He is always with us. He is continually with us, and He will never leave us, and He will never forsake us. Number 5, when you are anxiety filled. And that is something that I work at all the time. I have a history of anxiety and depression, and it can grab a hold of me so unexpectedly. Anybody who has anxiety knows that it's like you don't even have control over your own body. Like, it kind of just takes over for you, and you feel nauseous and sick and shaky and off balance, and it just is so overwhelming. But God's word says in Matthew 6:34, it says, therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. And how true is that you lay in bed at night and you do the what if game? Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? You know, and the stuff starts circling in your mind, and you're thinking about all of these things, and it's stuff that hasn't even happened. And most of the time, it is stuff that you are blowing up way out of proportion. Almost like you're trying to, you know, set yourself up for the worst possible scenario, because if you're set up for the worst possible scenario and it's not the worst, then it'll be better than that. But God's word is telling us, do not be anxious. Do not be anxious about tomorrow. Do not be anxious about anything, because today holds enough worry of its own. And yeah, that's number 5. Just hold on. That's all I got for you today. I hope that this video was a blessing to you. Please make sure to check out the playlist, which will be down in my description box down below. There's going to be a whole bunch of other mamas that are taking part in this collaboration. And make sure that you check out Ingrid over at the Ingrid Chronicles. And God bless and take care, and I will talk to you again soon.